The doctors said he had 6 months. They said it carefully, the way people do when they don't want words to break something fragile. They talked about treatment plans and percentages and managing pain. They avoided the word end, but it sat between them anyway, heavy as the silence that followed. He nodded. He thanked them. He folded the paper with the diagnosis and put it in his pocket like it was something he could lose if he wasn't careful. She didn't cry in the hospital. She waited until they were outside, until the automatic doors sighed shut behind them, and the afternoon sun spilled across the parking lot. Then she sat on the hood of his car, covered her face with her hands, and cried the kind of cry that has no sound at first, just shaking like her body was trying to decide whether to break or hold. "I'm sorry," he said. She looked up at him, eyes red, jaw set. "Don't," she said. "Don't apologize for being alive." 3 weeks later, she married him. There was no grand proposal, no ring shopping, no dramatic speech. She simply woke up one morning, watched him sleep beside her, and realized that waiting made no sense anymore. "If time is the only thing we're short on," she said, sitting on the edge of the bed, "then let's stop wasting it." They got married at the courthouse on a Tuesday. She wore a simple dress. He wore the jacket he'd had since college. A clerk with tired eyes congratulated them, stamped the papers, and moved on to the next couple. Outside, she laughed an unexpected, bright sound. "Well," she said, holding up their marriage certificate, "that was fast." He smiled. "We've always been efficient." They laughed in hospitals. Not because hospitals were funny, but because laughter felt rebellious there. They laughed at bad coffee and outdated magazines. They laughed when the nurse mispronounced his name for the 3rd time. They laughed when his four-pole squeaked like it was complaining. Sometimes people stared at them, confused by the sound. Joy felt out of place in hallways that smelled like disinfectant and quiet fear. But they laughed anyway, because it reminded them they were still themselves. They danced in kitchens. Slow dances, barefoot, the radio low. Sometimes the song ended and they didn't notice. Sometimes he got tired and rested his head on her shoulder, and they swayed without moving their feet. "I'm not good at dancing," he'd say. She'd grin. "You're perfect at it." They cried at sunsets. The sky always seemed unfairly beautiful, burning oranges, soft purples, streaks of gold, as if the world hadn't gotten the memo that something was ending. They'd sit together and watch, fingers intertwined, tears slipping down quietly. "I wish we had more time," he said once. She squeezed his hand. "We do," she said. "We have right now." The months passed. Then fewer months. Then weeks. His body grew tired before his heart did. There were days he couldn't get out of bed, days when pain stole his breath. She learned how to measure medicine, how to read his face, how to be strong without pretending everything was fine. At night, she lay awake listening to him breathe, counting the rise and fall of his chest like it was something sacred. "I'm scared," he admitted one night, voice barely above a whisper. She didn't lie. She didn't say everything would be okay. "So am I," she said. "But we're here. Together." On the last day, the room was quiet. No machines screaming. No dramatic goodbyes. Just soft light through the window and her hand in his. He looked at her, eyes tired but clear. "Did I do enough?" he asked. "In my life?" She swallowed hard. "You loved me," she said. "You showed up. You stayed kind. You paid attention. That's more than most people ever do." He smiled, small, peaceful. Then he was gone. At the funeral, people spoke about how young he was, how unfair it all felt. They said he was taken too soon. She stood there, listening, holding herself together. Later, alone, she went home and sat at the kitchen table where they had danced. The house was unbearably quiet. She pressed her palm to the wood, remembering the warmth of his hand there, the echo of their laughter. She cried until her chest hurt. Then she breathed. Years later, when someone asked her about him, she didn't say he died young. She said this instead: he didn't get a long life, but he got a full one, because we chose love without waiting. And when she said it, her voice didn't break, because some lives are measured not in years, but in moments that mattered, and his had been filled to the very end. This story reminds us that life's richness isn't defined by its length, but by its depth, by the love we give and the moments we fully inhabit. If you or someone you know is struggling with loss or facing a difficult diagnosis, please remember you are not alone. Reaching out is a sign of strength. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe for more stories that touch the heart.